United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just a brief announcement. The school committee is going into executive session to conduct strategy sessions in preparation of negotiations with non-union personnel, because doing so in public session may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee. Following the committee's return from executive session, there will be no votes other than a vote to adjourn. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have Peyton yet for number 4, so under agenda adjustments. I just want to delay that until she arrives.
Okay. Under agenda adjustments, we're going to delay the Student Advisory Council. She's not here right now. So, first thing I'll call for the agenda is the approval of the minutes of March 19th. Do we have Hanover, seconded by Abington. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. And now we have the spotlights, the Student of the Month.
Peter, if you'd like to join me. I'd like to introduce Peter Whalen from Situate. Peter's a member of our carpentry department and a senior this year. Peter's demonstrated, as you can see in the sheet in front of you, leadership comes in many forms, and Peter's one to lead by his actions. On the outside crew, they've been working on a number of different projects, and Peter's has been a strong support for Mr. Burke, the rest of the team out there, the students out there, always ready to jump in and just get involved any way he can and learn any way possible. And so we're proud of Peter, and we're looking forward to seeing him march across the stage in just a few weeks. A little shaky there, a little nervous there, but it's going to be a big step, and we're all proud of him. And so then we'll present you Peter Whalen.
Congratulations on your wonderful Student of the Month card here, and for your travels, so that you never forget us, okay? And I think there's a little something inside, and this is so you never go thirsty.
That worked.
It's going to start. It will get warm pretty soon.
Yes, it will. So once again, Peter, congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank Peter's family for coming out tonight, and also his instructor, Mr. Burke. Mr. Burke, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you work with Peter every day, and if you would like to share any observations.
Actually, yes.
Thank you.
When I first met Peter, he was very shy, not sure where to go, what to do, and over the past couple of years, I've seen a lot of growth in him. He's our go-to guy at the lumber yards. He goes in, up to the counter, does all our ordering, goes out to the lumber yard, meets the yardmen, gets things rolling for us out there. And again, he's always there. If you ask him to do a task, no matter what it is, no questions, Peter does it. So that's the kind of guy you want to have on the field.
Yeah, that's high praise. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, reports. Who's going to do the first report?
For Mr. Kelly, and just point out to you document 3, which is the treasurer's report for March of 2014, with half of the business office here. This is where Mr. Kelly usually says, "What a lovely cover." And did you get the same cover I did? Because they might be pulling a prank on me.
Where's the snow?
Right. Where's the snow? I'm not going to make any additional comments, but would ask for a motion to accept the report.
We have a motion to accept the report. So we'll pass it.
Second.
Second by Whitman. All those in favor? Unanimous. We have some budget transfers too, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. For document 4, Bob is also bringing to you, looking for a motion to approve a budget transfer to increase from the workers' compensation line to the out-of-state travel Skills USA line, $4,000.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the budget transfers?
I'll make a motion.
Cohasset, do we have a second? Hanover? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, Chairman, subcommittee reports. Okay, it's, we had the Secretary Treasurer evaluation. We had Mr. Coughlin come back, and the subcommittee recommends the hiring of Mr. Coughlin. We did it just before this meeting today, so I think he's a perfect, my personal opinion, he's a perfect replacement for Bob. Too bad he didn't come years ago. We could have got rid of Bob sooner, but I'll wait till he watches that on video.
Yeah. We won't vote on that.
Yeah. So, I reckon, well, I can't make the motion, so.
I'll make the motion that the school committee consider Mr. Jim Coughlin the replacement for Bob Kelly as Secretary Treasurer to the school committee, pending contract approval between the subcommittee and the committee for the school.
And Mr. Coughlin.
And Mr.
Yeah,
Coughlin.
Ms. Coughlin, yeah. Mrs. Coughlin, too.
I'll second.
We have a second from Abington. All those in favor? Unanimous? And Jim, if you'd like to get up and kind of introduce yourself quickly, if you like.
To the board members who I haven't met yet, my name's Jim Coughlin. I am from Abington. I guess it's a Abington seat over there in the Secretary Treasurer's office. But I look forward to the opportunity. I worked with Bob Kelly before as a member of the Abington Finance Committee. I understand the processes of the school committee and your goals and visions and so forth. And I look forward when Bob retires to hopefully take over and continue the great work he's done with the ladies in the office moving forward. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll turn it back to Dr. Hickey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under my report, a few updates. First, I hope to bring to you in a few months. I'll bring back a student that you saw as Student of the Month, a young man named Nick Bunker, who is seeking my approval to have an Eagle Scout project on campus here, which would involve the construction of the blazing of a trail for our cross-country team. And he has been very proactive. I had a meeting with Nick and his Scoutmaster last week, and he's working with Hanover's Conservation Commission. This is, I spoke with the coach of the cross-country team a few days ago. He is thrilled. He would love to be able to have South Shore VOTEC host a cross-country meet here. As you might recall, for the first time in decades, we reestablished a cross-country team with enthusiastic student interest. And so by putting in a trail on our property, it would afford us the ability to host meets. So more on that as Nick moves that project forward. Second item regarding Chapter 74 regulations, I sent a letter from myself to the members of our legislative delegation and under separate cover, and would have copied you on that, alerting our state representatives and state senators that represent the towns in the district that the Department of Education will be putting forth draft regulations to revise Chapter 74, which is the statute that covers vocational education. The Board of Education can make regulatory changes. And as I said in my letter, while I don't have concerns with everything that the Commissioner is proposing in the memo, it's something that I'd ask our legislative delegation to be mindful of, so that when I do reach back out later in the summer and into the early fall, they'll be aware of it. Since my putting this on the agenda, I've learned a couple of things. One is that the planned rollout of the draft regulations in May is probably not going to be until June. And also, as a current officer with the Mass Association of Vocational Administrators, I'll be attending a meeting at the Department of Ed on Monday afternoon with a team from the department as well as some MAVA officers to discuss the planned rollout of these regulations, to try to get a better sense of some of the items that the Commissioner is raising in his memo that he's looking to change. I would envision bringing something back to you for discussion at the July meeting, where there would probably be a public comment period over the summer. So this is definitely something, this won't be the last that you hear of it, but just to let you know, I appreciate State Representative Jeff Deal. He responded to my letter, and our delegation is very attentive, but I do thank Representative Deal for sending along his comments, supporting vocational technical education, and wanting to support us, and eager to learn more about what these regulations mean. So more on that. Item 3 under my report deals with a visit from the Cohasset Board of Selectmen, and Mr. Chairman, if it's all right with you, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Thayer and allow him to do that part of the report.
Well, after working on it for a few years, I finally got the Board of Selectmen and the town manager, who's a new one, who's a permanent one, over here. Mr. Hickey had a nice luncheon set up. They were very, they're unbelievable, the kids, how they had the food ready, how good it was. Then we took a tour through the school, and when I got back to Cohasset, the next day, I was stopped on the road by the selectmen. And I said, wow, all this is over there. We can have part of it. I said, you are part of it. If you need stuff done, you just gotta go through the proper chain of commands, and things will get done. They'll be done once and be done right. But they were very, very pleased, and there was 2 selectmen, a selectwoman and a selectman that couldn't make it. So they've all asked me if possible down the road we could have another meeting with everybody again. I says, well, I don't think that'll be hard to arrange. I said, I think we can get that done with no problem. But I want to thank the school for their outstanding performance with the kids and how they did things, and the professionalism that they saw in the school was just, they were very, very surprised. They were just out of this world. So thank you, everybody.
Can I make a note on that? We ought to invite them to our graduation since it's in Dodgetown.
Okay, I will work on that when I go back. How's that?
Yeah, a good
They
suggestion.
can't get on stage with us though.
Okay, all right.
There's no room.
All right, I will talk to the town manager
Yeah.
on that.
No, you know,
Yeah,
like
that's a
it-
good idea. It's
yeah.
a really good idea. But thank you, everybody, for that outstanding performance the school has performed. I've been coming here a long time, and it's really, I was really happy about the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thayer, for arranging that, making that happen. Continuing under item 4, stabilization article update. On April 1st, I enjoyed having a double header of sorts. I was able to go with Kenny to the Cohasset Board of Selectmen's meeting. Had a very productive conversation. This was a few days after they had visited. The Cohasset Board of Selectmen voted unanimously to endorse the stabilization article on their upcoming town meeting warrant, which is April 28th.
Yeah.
And then got in my car, drove down to Hanson, which happened to be on the way home, so it wasn't too bad. And Chris and I went in front of the Hanson Board of Selectmen and also addressed the issue of stabilization. They were very thorough, asking a lot of great questions. Ultimately, the Hanson Board of Selectmen also voted 5-0, unanimous vote to support the stabilization article. What night was it, Mr. Chairman?
I forget.
Was it Monday? Was it Monday night into Tuesday morning?
Yeah.
Well, on Monday night, April 14th, the town of Situate held its town meeting, which began on the 14th of April. And I was there on the 14th of April, and the town was good enough to not only support our assessment, but also voted unanimously at town meeting for the stabilization. So Situate was our Iowa caucuses, right? So it's on to New Hampshire, over to Cohasset next. Jack, however, stayed until 1:45 in the morning.
So if I nod off tonight.
Yeah, we got the gavel right here just in case, but yeah, so I continue to appreciate one step at a time our community's support of the stabilization article. I would also point out that the Norwell Advisory Committee, and Mr. Moeller, I think it's Advisory Committee? And the board as well, correct. Several weeks ago had gone on record supporting the stabilization article as well. So that's where it stands. I'll have a little bit more to say in just a moment under budget update. At this point, though, before I talk about the budget update since last month, I'll turn it over to our administrative team to provide you with some spring updates.
I will start that up. In guidance and admissions, we have a number of projects starting up. We are looking forward to next year offering a guidance class for all students that will take place during their shop time for part of one day during each rotation. So we're writing the curriculum for that. Part of that curriculum is going to be a newly implemented program called Your Plan for the Future, which is sponsored through MIFA, the Massachusetts Educational Financial Authority. But we'll work with students so that they can develop career plans, perform college searches, scholarship searches, develop resumes, cover letter writing, interview skills, and cover the whole gamut of workplace readiness. We're also pleased to introduce a program for students called Virtual High School, where students can take additional coursework if they're so interested. We'll be able to offer foreign language classes, additional honors level classes, advanced placement level classes, and we'll work with students who might be interested in additional educational opportunities. And of course, we are knee-deep, well, neck deep in the admissions process, and we're happy with where we sit right now, and we'll be prepared to share some numbers fairly soon. Okay.
Next up. Tonight I just wanted to tell you a little bit about our Vocational Student of the Year. Last April 10th, last Thursday, I was privileged enough to go up to Worcester to Mechanics Hall, where all the vocational students of the year from each individual vocational Chapter 74 school. There were 53 students, and it was quite impressive. But our student was quite impressive also. His name is James Aguiar. He excels in the Allied Health program. Last year, he got gold at districts and states, and he went on to nationals where he got a silver medal, which is second in the nation. This year, he placed silver at districts for nurse assisting, and he competition on May 1st. He has been on the volleyball team for 3 years. He has been on the wrestling team for 4 years. He's a National Honor Society member. He is a recipient of the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship. He has been coming to our open house for the Allied Health program for the last 3 years. He has assisted in volunteering with the blood drives that we've had here, and recently he has been on the Whitman Cable Access Station interviewing with Mr. Tachi and with Mr. Hickey. After graduation, he hopes to further his education in the nursing field. He has enrolled in the ROTC program. He hopes to join the Army Corps of Nursing, and as an officer, he wishes to serve his country, gain some experience as a nurse, and go around the world helping others. That's our James Aguiar.
Tonight I want to speak about South Shore and our outreach to community. In May, specifically May 17th, the Saturday, we have a number of great events going on at the school. The Business Professionals of America, one of the organizations within the school, and you have it later in your agenda, they are going to nationals. They're sending a student to their national competition in Indianapolis, Indiana. They are running their second annual community blood drive here on Saturday, May 17th. At the same time that is happening, we are also running an epilepsy walk run out in the back field. This is for all the benefits will go to the Epilepsy Foundation of New England. And Also, because we don't want to make ourselves too bored around here, on that same day, we are working with the South Shore Recycling Collaborative to repeat one of those very special things we had a couple years ago, the Electronics Recycling Day. We are going to do that again. This time, I'm happy to report that they are going to take refrigerators, large type items, things they did not take the last time, they have agreed to take this time. So I will hope to be able to bring that to you next month and confirm that with you guys. Thank you.
And last but not least, yesterday our seniors participated in a very successful Credit for Life fair. The fair is sponsored by Rockland Trust and coordinated by our math department head, Tina Palmer. And this experience for the students is just invaluable in a first step, 1 foot out of high school into life sort of way. They had a chance to balance a budget, see how much it would cost to eat and live, and why they couldn't buy the new truck that they wanted to buy, even though they thought that was a really great idea. So every year this fair happens. Every year this fair is a great success. It's something that we pride ourselves on and that our seniors really benefit from. So we're very grateful to all the people who volunteer, all the people who sponsor it for us, and all the people who do all the hard work in getting it ready. In addition, our Parents Association is hosting their annual fundraiser, which is coming up on Friday, May 2nd. It is their Spring Fling. This is a big fundraiser for our parents because they spend the money that they earn during these fundraisers for things that our teachers ask for on their wish list. So if they need money for a bus for a field trip, or they need money for the prom, or whatever it is they're looking for, this is where the money comes from. So anybody who's not busy on Friday, May 2nd, you are more than welcome to join us at the Whitman VFW. Tickets are $10 each and available at the reception booth. Thank you very much.
Under budget update, as I was saying before, we've completed one town meeting. We had Cohasset on April 28th. And just to extend the metaphor, so our Super Tuesday is really a Monday, and that is May 5th, where we have 5 of our communities having town meetings on May 5th. Hanover, Hanson, Norwell, Rockland, and Whitman. Towns are at various stages of reviewing our assessments. I've had multiple opportunities to engage in conversations with towns, encouraging them to provide us with information on their budget situation. I had an opportunity to meet with town officials in Abington, Town Administrator Rick LaFond, Superintendent Peter Schaefer, Assistant Superintendent Felicia Michella, and Town Accountant. And it was a very productive conversation. I got a sense of what their situation was, and I was also able to explain in a little more detail how our budget process works, how our budget process is earlier than others, and to explain a little bit about not that they needed a full explanation on the funding formula, but at least explain how our assessments are calculated. So I look forward to further communications with our towns in that area. So that's the other communities. I've had communications with Whitman, and also attempted to make some contact with Rockland as well. That's since the last time we met, and budget is later under new business. Mr. Chairman, if I could just also add, I placed in your correspondence folder a copy of the net metering agreement with the town of Situate. We are already in the process of saving some money in that area, so I look forward to giving you periodic updates on that as well.
One of the highlights of the town meeting, because they saved money.
Yes, thank you, Jack. That was something. I do appreciate the support of the folks in Situate that spoke on our behalf, and they did make mention of that as well. So that was nice. That was nice to hear. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, new business. Fiscal year 15 budget review. Is there anything we want to talk about? Good. Huh? I'm good.
We're going to talk about the budget review, if I may.
Go right ahead.
Okay. I know it just seems we've already voted on the budget, but as far as the fiscal year 15 budget, Tom has been in contact with 3 towns, and the 3 towns that he's been getting in contact with, pay, our budget that we have that is not funded by the state, as you can see, is almost 7.5 million. Town of Whitman, Abington, and Rockland pay 5.2 million of that budget. So we pay 8% of the budget, basically. This year, because of the increase in students, all three towns assess very high, and we're having problems. Tom has talked to the three towns. I've talked to Whitman only. I know there was some thinking that maybe Rockland, where they were having a override election, may follow through and maybe accept our budget, but their override budget failed. So now financially, I can't speak for them, and they're not, the representative isn't here, but I'm certainly sure that with that override failing for the school, was strictly for the schools, for both their Abington school system and South Shore Votek, that they're gonna be hurting for money. Abington's in the same situation, and I know Whitman, we're in the same situation. I've always advocated, and I've talked to Tom, that I don't believe in cutting the educational part of our budget, because we need that. But there's other areas that we look to improve on capital costs that we can either delay or do partial parts, like we did last year. And I think, what did we cut, a couple $100,000 out of the budget last year, or something, 280, something like that?
A little bit less than that.
Yeah, less than that from the capital. It didn't hurt the educational part whatsoever, and then we found at the end of the year, we're able to backfill some of those capital needs and take care of them anyway. That is what I'm suggesting that we do again, because we have three towns that are financially strapped. One went for the debt override and it failed. The people are saying enough is enough. Last year, Whitman and Hanson had an override, the towns, for the Whitman-Hanson school system. They're not asking for it again because they know enough is enough. They get it by once, they don't expect to get it a second time, and they dropped their budget down to 3%. They were looking, do you remember what originally what the Whitman-Hanson budget was looking for? 5.5, something like that percent. They dropped it down to 3%, knowing that the towns of Whitman and Hanson, that the override wouldn't pass, and we'll have to struggle to pay the 3%. I'm asking this committee to take a second look at things, because even though it may pass in enough towns to get the budget through, down the line, we're gonna need Whitman, Hanson, and Rockland on our side, and we do not want to say, we're gonna pass the budget in spite of the three towns, especially when these three towns are paying 80% of our budget. And they have most of the students. And I think it's just goodwill. I know, I can speak for my town, they think that South Shore Votek is run very well. They have total faith in this committee and in our superintendent and the staff. And they're asking us if there was a way that we can look at, maybe looking at some of the extras that we have in the budget, like capital costs, maybe not funding our unfunded mandate. As what do we have, like 15,000 going towards that?
Currently 20.
20, right. Maybe cut that, something to show good faith. Because doing it this year, we're making friends, because we're gonna have them a long time. And there's gonna be times where we're gonna need Whitman, Abington, and Rockland totally supporting us, with no questions in the budget, you know, when things might lighten up. And I think this, like last year, we should take a good look at our budget and say to these three towns, you know, maybe we can help you out, because that's all they're looking for, is some help. I think that's what Frank expressed to you, Tom, as far as looking for that. And as I said, I can't speak for Rockland, and I can't speak for Abington, but I know you got a letter from Abington, and so they're basically asking the same thing. They need some help. All three towns are in financial need, and of course the state isn't coming with the actual financial needs of the town, nor are they coming to the school systems with it. So we have to do something, and we have to stay on the right, I think, line with all 8 towns, not 5 out of 8. 8 out of 8. And show good faith.
So is that your motion?
Huh?
Is that a motion to?
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the budget and ask Tom for his recommendations of where we could cut on capital costs in areas where it does not affect education. I'm very specific about that.
Do we have a second? Abington. Have a second. Okay. Anybody want to discuss anything?
Yes, I do. We cut the budget last year to request of Mr. Salvucci for the town of Whitman. And at that time, I brought up the subject. Mr. Salvucci represents Whitman. He represents this school committee for the town of Whitman. This entire school committee put together a budget last year, and we hurt by cutting our budget. So this year we came in a little bit higher, but yet it was a budget that would cover our capital and cover our operations at the same time. No fluff, no extras, what it takes to operate the school in a manner. We cut capital last year, and if we cut it again this year, it hurts our school. It might not hurt the educational part, but it does hurt the educational part. Because if we can't fix something on a capital program, or maintain a building, or put in storage, or whatever we have to do, even if something like our boiler, this school hurts. So I'm against the motion, and I'll vote against the motion, and I'm really disturbed by and I'm going to call it, it's my opinion only, the conspiracy effect of Whitman's representative of this school committee to go to Abington and Rockland and his own town to work against the school committee when that member of this school committee represents this school committee to his town. He doesn't represent Abington, he doesn't represent Rockland, he doesn't represent Norwell or any other town, only Whitman. And that's the only town that they should be speaking for. The other people, if they have a problem with us, we had our public hearings, we had open meetings on every part of our budget. They were here and they could have taken part and given their opinions. Seeing they didn't do that, we passed the budget in good faith, and I, for one, am against changing it. We've already had our first town approve it, and I'm willing to go approve it or throw it out by the towns, not the school committee.
Chairman, may I answer that, please?
Yes.
First of all, I represent Whitman. I have not spoken to anyone in Abington or Rockland, not even to the school committee members of Abington or Rockland. My town administrator contacted, I believe, Abington and Rockland. He's our town administrator. And I believe, in response, Tom talked to Abington, Whitman, and Rockland. I do not represent those two other towns. I have not contacted those two other towns. And before you make a statement like that, you get your facts straight, because I will not deal with that, and I will not be disrespected like that.
Mr. Salvucci, I'm not disrespecting you, but I saw it on the TV program, and that's the opinion I got, and several other people that have seen it. That it seemed to be sponsored by Whitman to go to those other towns. And it's not a place to argue at this forum. I'm stating my opinion, and I'm going to vote against your motion, and I hope the other 6 towns or 7 towns that are here vote against your motion as well.
Fine.
Anybody else want to speak? Okay, we have a motion on the floor to a positive vote would, a yes vote would basically say we open it up. A nay vote would say we keep it as is. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Of opening it up?
Yeah.
Aye.
So we got Whitman, Cohasset, Hanson, and Abington. I almost said Arlington. All those opposed? We have Norwell, Hanover, and Situate. So the motion passes 4-3. so.
So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Salvucci's motion was to ask me to make recommendations. How would you like to proceed with that?
I would say basically if you have any ideas, anything that planned right now, I mean, do you have anything that off the cuff that way you could do it, you know, if you have it here, fine.
Okay. In looking at the budget, and in consideration of the possibility that the committee might be considering cuts, Dan asked a question a few school meetings ago that if we were in a situation where the budget was tight, where would I look to first? The first place that I would look is at would be at some of the capital costs. When we put our budget together, the way that I look at it is it's a process that begins in the fall. It's brought to you in December. You're all very thoughtful with your comments and feedback to me. And it's a budget that includes, when I say growth, I mean a vision looking to the future. I knew going into this fiscal year that because of some good fortune that we've had with competitive grants and with good capital planning, that this would be a good year to, when I say capital planning, I mean in the sense of vocational equipment, that I knew this fiscal year would be a year where I would not be coming to you asking for capital money for vocational equipment. So it's an opportunity to invest in our infrastructure. If you were to ask me what, if any, of the capital funds would I offer to you as an opportunity for a cut, I could estimate approximately $70,000 of cuts, which I would target toward the one of the capital projects, which is the estimated costs for foundation and construction work for the maintenance building that I presented to you back in December. This would be a multi-year project. I would say to you right now that were that to be cut, it would be something I would be bringing back to you. The need will not change. Our NEASC report, as I told you in previous school committee meetings, is great. I will hopefully be able to bring it to you at the May meeting. It will reference issues of storage. And we all pride ourselves, regardless of where we are in this particular topic, we all pride ourselves on trying to stay ahead and not operate in crisis with regard to infrastructure or anything else. So if in fact that were to have to happen, I would be reluctant to go much more than that, as there are other capital projects that I would like to see move forward. To remind you, the other capital projects include money to outfit our school buses with bus radios, money for renovations to our guidance and main office, again with the same theme of space is a premium. So there is money in that capital budget for us to renovate our guidance office, to allow our vocational director to have an office close to the guidance department, which makes sense on multiple levels. Also to do some renovation in our main office that would allow private space for our human resources coordinator to conduct business. There's also a project, as I indicated in my presentation, relative to a concession stand project that would include 2 renovated ADA compliant bathrooms that I consider to be a priority. I also think that it is a fantastic curriculum project for our electrical and carpentry programs. That's how I first explained it to you. So if I had to prioritize in that realm of capital, that's where I would say it would have an instructional impact if that concession stand project were not part of the mix. It would have an impact on administrative capacity and communication and space if I were not able to do the renovation. And certainly I think that the bus radio idea is just it's absolutely essential.
It's a safety issue.
Right.
Big safety issue.
Yeah, I agree.
If the committee asked me to look beyond that, I could make further recommendations relative to some of the positions that I put into the fiscal 15 budget. Again, while it may seem it may never be a good time to be adding personnel, this is not something that's done in a scattershot way. I know you don't feel that way. Again, my approach my approach has been to try to plan out the expenses as much as possible. And again, similar to what I said about capital, this was a good year to build in some additional positions that I think have been needed. And just to remind you, some of those positions included a network technology position, which I think is absolutely essential, and I would not bring that to you for a recommendation for any cuts. If you did ask me to look further into non-capital, however, I would recommend that we would phase in the removal of a grant-funded position. You might recall I presented to you that we have a grant-funded paraprofessional position that we've had on a grant for a while. The expectation is that if you know you're going to keep the position, you should be moving it on to the operational budget. I put into the budget that we would move it over entirely in 1 year. And so one way of mitigating that might be to phase that in over 2 years. I would also take a look at other post-employment benefits. I have brought to you for 3 years in a row an attempt to fund OPEB in the front door. Those cuts, due to previous cuts, we've been unable to have that happen. I would still like to salvage some money in that area, but certainly that is something that I would look at. And I'm pleased to hear that there would be no disagreement over the fact that were we to cut the budget at all, that you would not want me to make any recommendations, nor would I wish to, that would result in the reduction of the quality of service in the form of supplies or equipment or transportation or personnel. So with that amount of guidance the committee has given me, I'll pause on my comments there, Mr. Chairman, and I could certainly articulate to a finer point if necessary.
I think that's, you've done well on such short notice. Any other discussion? Okay, so I guess we'll move on to the next item. Have your work cut out for you, I guess. Okay, next up we have the bid for legal services.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I've brought to you a recommendation to consider going out to bid for legal services. As I indicated to you, this is what I would consider to be a good business practice, and it is no reflection on the current quality of legal services that the district is receiving, in my opinion. In the same way that we have occasionally gone out to bid for transportation as a good business practice to see what the market might be fetching, in the same way that we look closely at our energy costs, again, the theme of trying to keep our non-instructional dollars as small as possible so they can be diverted for instructional needs. This is another area that I'd ask you to consider. It is a school committee level action to retain legal counsel. That is not something that I decide. So were you to agree to go through the process of going out to bid for legal services, it does not mean anything needs to change. It simply means that you would be directing me to work with the business office to prepare necessary documents, and then I would suggest that the chairman bring this information back to the committee for further consideration.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we
I'll second that.
send that out.
Hanover, Whitman seconds. All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may continue under new business, we have a mathematics textbook, Algebra 1 Common Core edition for your first month's review. Item D under new business, as Mr. Aubrey mentioned earlier in the meeting, we're fortunate to have CIT senior Christina Brennan participating in the Business Professionals of America National Leadership Conference, April 30th to May 4th. As we would deem this an out-of-state field trip, it would require your approval.
Do we have a motion to approve the out-of-state? Cohasset and Hanson. All those in favor? Unanimous.
And I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got 4 surplus items from, what is it? CNC,
CMT.
Spot Notebook PC, styling chair from cosmetology, and a skeleton. Typing tutor CDs and student desk chairs.
I'll make the motion that we declare those items surplus.
Hanover, do we have a second? Abington, all those in favor? Okay, that brings us to warrants.
Warrants for approval. Warrants 18 and 19, totaling $958,497.46.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Whitman seconds. All those in favor? Unanimous. Any requests for action? Seeing none. Okay, we'll, executive session. Whitman,
What?
executive session?
Yes.
Cohasset?
That's just, I just thought something, I meant to mention, I'd like to thank the machine shop, Mr. Hickey, the machinist down there, for a tool they made for the town of Cohasset DPW. I meant to say that earlier, but thank you, thank them personally, Tony.
I will.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Now, do you wanna go into executive session, or you wanna keep talking about?
No, it's all right, it's okay, that's all right. I make a motion for an executive session. Oh,
I'll
you-
second it, yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, sit your
Yes.
head over. No. I had to get up.
I just forget that.
You're a little grumpy here, buddy.
I'm still tired from Monday night.